What is up, guys? Team Yuki Fails here, and today I'm going to start the video off with a little introduction that I will show you guys to my Twitch channel. So my Twitch channel is Drew Magic Gaming. This is my personal one that I'm going to be streaming probably some Yu-Gi-Oh content primarily from. I'll do video games too. However, I did some Duel Links stuff. I'm trying to grind my way upwards in Duel Links a little bit, not too much, nothing crazy, to be honest. Pretty basic stuff. But I wanted to kind of showcase to you guys that I am starting to do Twitch every once in a while. And if you guys would like to go over to the channel and you know, start following, pay some support, things like that, that would be absolutely welcomed, and I would appreciate that so much. However, I'm going to go ahead and do my ban list or forbidden limited list prediction video. We're going to start out with a different category than putting cards to 0, 1, 2, or 3. The first category that we will be starting out with is the bad ideas category. This consists of things that I've heard people say over the last probably 2-3 weeks of what they think is going to happen. A lot of it just seems terrible in nature, and I kind of want to discuss why. So we're going to go ahead and hop right into this. So, starting off, people think Artifact Scythe is going to get banned. I don't think that's correct at all. The card's going to stay where it is. If Konami puts it to 1 even, I'll be surprised. You just Ash their Sanctum and they lose. Or you Red Reboot their Sanctum and they also lose. This card really doesn't have a reason to get hit at all, and Sanctum won't get hit either. People think Masterpiece is coming back to 1 for some reason. I don't know why people decided that they're going to smash their head against a locker and think that they're correct for some reason, but it's not going to happen. You're just not going to see Masterpiece go back to 1. Card's unhealthy for the game. There's no reason for it to be a 1. Gazelle 1, this isn't going to happen either. Konami is not going to hit a card that literally came out like a month and a half ago, because it's really not that strong. This card won't go to 2, it won't go to 1. It's going to stay exactly where it is. Multi-Faker to 1, for some reason people think this is going to happen. Altergeist sucks. The deck is terrible. Sorry if I offended anyone. Deal with it. Card's not going to 1. Altergeist players, if you're here, you can rejoice. Don't even be mad at me for saying anything about your deck sucking, because at least you get to keep your multi-faker. The danger cards, for some reason people think Snake and Little Rabbit Horns over here are going to get hit to 1. I've never heard a lackluster and less intelligent comment than that. These cards are not going to get hit. If any of them do get hit, it'll be Nessie. However, I don't think Nessie's going to get hit at all. If they do hit any of the dangers, though, like I said, this will be the one that'll get hit first. It'll go to 1 if they do anything to it, but it's not going to get hit anyways. Konami's not going to touch this archetype yet. They're going to wait a little bit. Probably after they reprinted the Megatons, then they'll hit this card to 1 and maybe something with these. But chances are that won't happen by the time Nationals comes around. So these cards are safe where they are. Don't worry about it. Maxi going to 1, it's not going to happen. Sorry, it's not going to go to 2, it's not going to go to 3. Deal with it. You're going to get null none instead, and you're going to be able to gain life points, and you'll beat your opponent in time instead of just card advantaging them. So being able to just have more life points than your opponent seems pretty good inherently. So this card is going to be really solid, unless for some reason they have bad reaction to Smochi, which they are able to activate magically on turn 0, but they're not going to be able to. Sky Striker, Mobilize, Engage. Card's not going to go to 2. People think that this or Widow Anchor is going to 2, or both of them. It's not going to happen. Sorry. I hate to burst your bubble. Engage is getting reprinted after Nationals. They'll hit it at that point. But they're not going to hit a card that they're reprinting right now. It wouldn't make much sense. Widow Anchor is the only card out of the 2 that I think between that and Engage that could get hit. I don't think they're going to put it to 2 or even 1. I think they're going to leave it and leave Sky Strikers as a semi-viable deck or engine going into Nationals. Super Poly. People think this card is going to 2. I think that's even more unintelligent than saying that any of the danger cards are going to get hit. There's absolutely no reason for this card to go to 2 when you can't chain anything to try and stop this card. It seems pretty stupid in nature. I don't know why people think for some reason that this card should be at 2. It's a very unintelligent thing to say. It's not healthy to have this card even at 1, in my personal opinion. No matter what, I don't think that should happen, but that's just me. Bad idea is putting Colossus to 1. That's the final bad idea that we have. This card's not going to go to 1. If you don't know how to play around at least 1 or 2 of this, then you're just not playing the correct game, go play Hearthstone or Magic. Then maybe you'll be able to actually play in an atmosphere where your small mind can think. Colossus is not going to go to anything below 3 currently because they're going to keep it to reprint it in the Megatons. And they might reprint this before that too. I feel like we might see this in Battles of Legend, to be perfectly honest with you. So that card's definitely going to stay where it is. No worries about that. But those are all the bad ideas that I've heard people say. None of them will happen, I promise you. I'm sorry if they do, but they're not going to happen. But let's go to things that I think should be banned. Or that I think Konami is going to ban, I should say. Phantom Skyblaster. Originally, I thought they might put this card to 1. I think they're just going to flat out ban it. I don't think there's any reason this card should be around. Token advantage is too much. And literally, you special summon one monster, then you normal summon this, and you have Saryuja. It seems pretty good to me. Darkness Metal Dragon. This card is probably one of the few hits that they're going to do to the Guard Dragon stuff. They're just going to put it in check. It'll still be playable, it just won't be as, stupid. And doing this would be very smart to ban. Rank Up Launch, this is something that I think Konami is going to do primarily. This is one that everyone's been saying. If they decide to hit As a Thought instead, Konami is just as stupid as everyone thought they were. But they're not going to do that. They're going to hit this card instead, hopefully. That's my personal prediction. On to the extra X stuff that they could do. I'm personally thinking Tempest Magician is going to get the smackaroo on this list. The reason that I say that is because the Endymion deck, once it comes out, it enables an FTK. And we know how much we do not like FTKs in Yu-Gi-Oh! So why would we allow them? Let's ban a card that would enable them. That way we don't have to worry about it. And then Galaxy S Dark Matter Dragon. This card's too good. I don't know why this card is a thing. If you get rid of this, then the Goliath combo becomes inherently more difficult to go off with, which is one of the reasons that this card is so good, is because of the Goliath combo. So getting rid of this is definitely a smart thing to do. I think these are the 5 most likely things that you will see banned on the upcoming list if Konami decides to ban them. That's my prediction. Cards going to 1. Lady Debug. Like I said, Salaman Great just came out. I don't think they're going to hit any Salaman Great cards. I think they're going to do other things. I think Lady Debug to 1 is the most likely scenario. Card's been out for a while. If you get rid of it, it takes away 2 possible Gazelles that your opponent could have. They still have 3 Circle and 3 Gazelle itself, and they'd have 1 Lady Debug. That still adds up to 7 Gazelles in your main deck, so I would not worry too much about that. Lady Debug going to 1 is not going to kill the deck at all. People just throw in Flame Buffalo and call it a day. Thunder Dragon Dark. I think this is one thing that Konami's going to put to 1 to kind of put Thunder Dragons in check somewhat. Get rid of the card that searches. Makes most sense. They're not going to get rid of Roar because special summoning from deck isn't as good. However, this card is the one that I think they'll end up putting to 1. Double Iris Magician. The Endymion stuff is coming out, like I said before. Now, they don't want FTKs, but they do want to sell products. So what are they going to do? They're going to go ahead and they are going to put Double Iris to 1. That way you can play Pendulum stuff at a more powerful rate. This card going to 1 is not going to change the game. Trust me, it's not going to completely alter the meta. The Endymion deck itself may alter the meta, who knows. However, Pendulums have proven time and time again to be pretty strong, so that's a very large possibility. But I think this card going to 1 for a Pendulum buff is the most likely case scenario. Other cards getting limited to 1. Saryuja Skuldred. No one ever is going to argue me on this one. This card's going to go to 1, and if you are arguing with me, you're trying to say the card should be a 0. It should not be a 0. Still give us 1 of it. However, don't give us multiples because we're not playing Pokemon. We don't want to draw 12 cards in one turn. We're playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Sky Striker Ace Kagari. This is the big Sky Striker hit I think they're going to do going to Nationals. That's really the only one that they really have to do. The only thing else that you could argue is like multi-roll. Which I didn't put on this list because I don't think it's going to get hit. I think they're just going to hit Kagari and call it a day, which would be perfectly fine, to be honest. Wind Up Carriers and Mighty. This is kind of my fun card of the limited section. I think that this card come back to 1, and I think Konami is starting to recognize that by the fact that they got Wind Up Magician to 3 off the last list. I think they're slowly easing us into the fact that we're going to get this card. And to be honest, I wouldn't complain. If this card went to 1, I don't think anyone would complain too much. I don't think it would completely alter the meta. I think it'd just be pretty fun to have. But that's things that I think are going to 1. Let's go to the things I think are going to be semi-limited. Let's start with Necros of Unicorn. I think with the reprints of Necros and Dual Power that this card is probably going to end up going to 2. It's a pretty solid likelihood, to be perfectly honest. This is one of the things that I'm actually more confident about on this prediction list. I don't see a reason that it wouldn't go to 2. Stratos. So this card's been off since I believe our last list. I think in that time I've maybe seen it in like one top cut list. If that, and to be perfectly honest, I think this card could go to 3, not even 2, and no one would really like bat an eyelash at it. The card's good, don't get me wrong, but it's not the greatest card in the world anymore like it used to be. Graph to 2, this is more likely than Seer, and seeing we're getting Cherubini in Dark Neostorm, Konami's also going to try and buff BA for Nationals a little bit, see what they can do to pump out some more product, and I think this is the most likely thing to do. If they do this, it's probably the healthiest thing to do as well. They're not going to put Seer to 2 because doing more Seer loops with Dante seems pretty stupid. They're not going to put tour guides to multiples of more than 1 because Konami isn't stupid. So graph to 2 is probably the most likely scenario. Then the solemn stuff, I think that this could be I don't want to say a potential shocker because it's not really too much of a shocker, but the OCG got a lot of solemn cards back on their last ban list, and I think that we're kind of due for it. Going into time, these cards aren't as powerful anymore. Because you just end the phase and your opponent paid half their life points with Judgment. Oh well, like they lose. So I personally think that the Solemn package going back to at least 2 each, or one of the other ones going to 2, I think is likely. And before I go to the cards that I think should be freed off the ban list, I do want to kind of conclude the semi-limited section by saying that I have a very large personal bias against semi-limited cards. I do not think that semi-limited should even be a thing. I think if a card is at 2, you might as well just put it at 3. People will argue that with me to death and say that things like Malicious or Necroface are too much of a problem. To be perfectly honest with you, if Malicious is too much of a problem at 3, then put it to 1. That way it's rendered completely useless and unusable. If you want to whine and complain about your opponent getting 1 extra card, then you really have an issue. Trust me, it's not going to completely alter the meta by having 3 Malicious currently. I haven't seen a Dark Warrior list top in a long time, so you don't have to worry too much. And then Necroface, if you're stupid enough to play Necroface, then you're probably already losing at your regional or YCS or even your local. So to me, I don't think any cards have much of a reason to be semi-limited. It's just a useless spot that we've grown accustomed to having, but we don't really need anymore. Let's move on to the cards that I think should come off of the list, or I think are going to come off the list because this is a prediction portion. Luster Pendulum, I think this card's going to go to 3 as another Pendulum buff. I don't think anyone's even going to play it anyway, so it doesn't matter. This card to 3 doesn't hurt our meta, to be honest. Chaos Emperor to 3, this is probably going to happen. People have been predicting this will happen for a while now. The errata makes this card not nearly as good as it used to be. So playing this card, to be honest, isn't even worth it, so Konami will put it to 3 and call it a day. Cliffort Scout. This card going to 3 will not change the meta at all. Clifforts are not going to be the best deck in any case scenario, unless you decided to go back to old Master Rule, at Master Rule 4, I think it was, 3 or 4, whatever it was that we were in prior. I think it was 3, where there is no link summoning, things like that, then sure, yeah, and you toss Skill Drain back to 3, maybe you'll see Clifforts do something, but Konami is not going back in time, they're going forwards, so you can put this card to 3 and it won't hurt the meta. Shrit to 3, like I said, Necros got the support, or the reprints I should say, in dual power. This card going to 3 is another likely scenario. I think this and Unicore getting buffs are the most likely thing to happen. With that being said, I do personally think that Necros is really bad. Even if they do give it the buffs, Dimensional Barrier, Anti-Spell, and Imperial Order are all cards, so having all those just makes me feel that Necros is rendered useless no matter what they do, unless they bring back the Jin, which isn't going to happen. 3 Book of Moon, this is well overdue. Should have happened a while ago, to be perfectly honest. I don't see a reason that we can't have this card come to 3. It's, you know, for the people who do complain about like things like Thunder Dragons, I don't even want to necessarily say Draco, but kind of in a way Draco, because their monsters typically have higher attack than defense. This card can counter a lot of the meta. It can hurt Salamangreat too if you go first, you set it, and then once they summon their Mirage Stalio, you can Book of Moon it, which is a really strong play. So like Book of Moon going to 3, I think is something that Konami is finally going to do, hopefully. I've had this card on my prediction list for like a year now, and it just hasn't happened, but I think it's bound to happen sooner or later, so I always toss this card on the three slot. Then Construct. This card is getting reprinted in dual power with some other Shadal support, and I think that Konami has finally come to terms with the fact that Construct is no longer as powerful as it used to be back in 2015. So putting this card to 3 would not be a terrible thing. It's not going to completely break the game and make everyone whine and complain too much. And I think people will actually be happy to see this card go back to 3, to be perfectly honest with you. That's just me, though. I think that it'll most likely happen. And that we're bound to see a pretty cool mix at Nationals where people might even try like Shadal Thunder Dragons, which I personally think would be pretty cool to see. But that portion is just my opinion. However, I think that Konami will put this card to 3 because it's not as powerful as it once was. So that concludes the ban list predictions. I was going to do a separate category before, and I opted to do it, and it was going to be like my personal wish list of things. But I opted to kind of like just not bother doing it because I hate doing the bias stuff with it. The personal bias stuff to me is just ridiculous. I don't think there's a reason to do like ridiculous personal biases. I think that it should be more based around what the actual game has going on. So hopefully this video gave you guys some insight as to what I see going on in the metagame and what I think Konami might end up doing to kind of I don't want to say correct the game because our current meta is really healthy. We have a lot of decks that are topping. It's not like it's just the same 2 decks over and over again. We're seeing a lot of consistency of different decks popping up, which is really nice. So hopefully this will just even make the meta even better, which going into Nationals would be great. I would love to see a very diverse top cut. But if you guys enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. And you know what, make it a little more fun. Why don't you guys post your personal wish list favorite card, whatever card you want to see go to 0, 1, 2, or 3. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. And for right now, this is Team Yuki Fails signing out.